welcome back to our National Signing Day coverage here presented by Jimmy John's and American Family Insurance. That right there is Steve Spiewak. I am Steve Montoya, and right now we have on the phone one of the best prospects in all of the country, Quenton Nelson, who is signed to Notre Dame. Quenton, thanks so much for joining us on the phone. How's your day going so far?
That's great. Thank you for having me.
So, Quenton, I'm also here with our national football editor, Steve Spiewak. First, tell us kind of how you decided on Notre Dame and what you liked about the school so much.
Well, at Notre Dame, I just felt that they had the best combination of academics and football, and I think I could grow as a person there as long as a football and student. So I just can't wait, and I'm so happy to have the opportunity to play football for Notre Dame. I can't wait.
Now, Quenton, with all of these All-American games and camps and combines and visits, have you gotten to know some of the other Notre Dame signees? It seems like on Twitter there's a pretty tight bond already developing with Notre Dame recruits. Is that accurate?
Yes, we text and everything. I'm more closer with the other lineman commits, Sam Mustipher, Alex Barr, Jimmy Byrne. But, yeah, I'm pretty close with the other guys, too. Yeah, all great guys.
Now, Quenton, what is it like playing on a team like Red Bank Catholic, sort of an emerging power in the state of New Jersey? You guys gave St. Joseph Regional quite a game in the state playoffs, but have you seen the program grow and develop in your 4 years there playing under Coach Portella?
Yes, definitely. It's really exciting to play for Red Bank Catholic and play these great teams in states and test your true ability against a top 10 team in the nation. We played pretty well against them. I think we'll get them next year, but yeah.
Now, Quenton, for the Notre Dame fans that are watching us today, do you have a message, or what would you like them to know about you now that you are officially a member of the University of Notre Dame?
I'm just going to work hard every day when I get there and compete. There's other very good offensive linemen there, and I'm ready to compete.
Hey, Quenton, have you connected with any of the players that currently play for Notre Dame? Have you got to talk to any of them? What's their advice, if you have?
Yeah, I've gotten to talk to pretty much all of the offensive linemen at Notre Dame.
Okay, great. Hey, Quenton, we really appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of the day, and good luck playing at Notre Dame.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thanks, Quenton.
Bye.
Thanks. Again, that's Quenton Nelson, a top prospect out of the New Jersey area. And while we're talking Notre Dame, let's talk about some of the other top recruits heading to play for the Fighting Irish. And they picked up some good recruits. They're always a strong class, and having Quenton Nelson is one of them, but they also have some other top-tier guys headed their way.
Well, first of all, I think Quenton Nelson is probably the best offensive lineman from the state of New Jersey in probably a decade. I think he is phenomenal. I think he's going to do very well at the University of Notre Dame. But Notre Dame is loaded up on the offensive line. Some guys that will be playing alongside Quenton Nelson include Sam Mustipher, probably an inside lineman. I think he'll probably play guard at Notre Dame, but he's been really, really good for Our Lady of Good Counsel, which is one of the nation's top programs, playing under head coach Bob Malloy and going up against a national schedule and, you know, a local schedule that includes the likes of DeMatha and St. John's. He has played very, very good competition, and he has excelled and thrived. I know some folks down at Good Counsel, and they just think so highly of Sam Mustipher. Very intelligent kid, very kind, a very good teammate, and I think he's going to do very well at Notre Dame. But actually, there is some buzz that perhaps they could shift him to the defensive side of the ball, depending on how their recruitment of the defensive tackle position shakes out, because he is such a strong player, has a very, very good motor, and he's gonna I think thrive at Notre Dame. But you know, when you're Notre Dame and you're trying to win a national championship and you're trying to compete against the likes of Alabama and other SEC schools, you need to have the guys up front, and I think Notre Dame has has lined that up.
Yeah, and when you're watching this footage, you're noticing the running backs and quarterbacks having a lot of time. It's because we're talking about the offensive line, and Sam is one of those offensive guys up front creating those big holes for those running backs. Another offense player is from St. Ignatius, and that's Jimmy Byrne.
Yeah, Jimmy Byrne, a guy, another Catholic school product, and I think Notre Dame, has an in at schools like that, being one of only 2 Catholic schools in the Bowl Division Conference. But he's a guy playing under another very, very good coach, and head coach Chuck Kyle, won 11 state titles at St. Ignatius. So Jimmy Byrne is accustomed to great coaching and is accustomed to winning state titles, and guy that played left tackle for the Wildcats. He emerged as a sophomore, and you don't see that too often at St. Ignatius, a 10th grader playing a big role, but he logged minutes right away as a sophomore, and he has not really looked back since. There's just so much depth at the offensive line position for Notre Dame in this class. I'm just extremely impressed with it, and I think it's got to be one of the top offensive line hauls in the country.
All right, and right now, according to 247sports.com, Notre Dame is the 8th ranked team, and one of the reasons they're so high is because of the prospect known as Nyles Morgan, the inside linebacker. He's a beast on the field, and you could see him making tackles here out of Illinois.
It's important for Notre Dame to land kids like Nyles Morgan. They've struggled, I think, the last 2 or 3 years getting some of these top Illinois kids. I mean, Illinois has always been a very good recruiting area for Notre Dame, but they've missed on a couple of guys in recent years. So I think it's very, very critical that they landed Nyles Morgan, because Quenton is one of the state's top talent-producing schools. They were state champions in 2012. And, getting him, he's a difference maker. He was very high on Notre Dame's board, very explosive player. And, I think Notre Dame's hope is that this could sort of open up a pipeline to Quenton, as well as just, continue to establish Notre Dame's strong roots in the Chicago area. Core 6, that well-known training facility in Chicago. He's a Core 6 kid, and to develop those relationships and continue to develop those inroads, I think is really, really big for Notre Dame, which recruits nationally for sure, but also needs to kind of get those top guys that are Illinois, Indiana kids, and they've done that with kids like Jalen Smith from Fort Wayne last year, and kids like Nyles Morgan from Quenton this year.
Yeah, and another Indiana kid that has already enrolled to Notre Dame is Justin Brent. He's a top 100 recruit. Another reason they're 8th in the class.
Yeah, he goes to Speedway High School right by the Indianapolis 500 track. Justin Brent, very, very good player for Speedway, posted huge stats. Guy that's played since his freshman season, so a 4-year varsity player. He's already enrolled at Notre Dame, and he's a guy that Notre Dame gained a commitment from very early on. I think he may have been their first recruit to commit for the class of 2014, and since then, we've seen his ranking kind of rise in the 24/7 composite. So he's a guy that Notre Dame evaluated. They jumped in on early. They got a commitment from him, and he's, other teams, I think, and other talent evaluators have recognized that he could be a pretty special player. So he's now a guy, I think, that is maybe their most explosive offensive player in this class. They have great guys on the offensive line, like we talked about. They have some impressive players on the defensive line, but I don't think this is a class with many game-breaking offensive talents. Certainly not at running back, but receiver, there are guys like Justin Brent that are going to do a very good job, I think, for the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, and now we're going to talk about some guys that may end up with Notre Dame. One of them is Juju Smith from Long Beach Poly. A couple of the 24/7 guys have their crystal ball with Notre Dame, but landing a guy like Juju Smith could bump the Irish up.
Well, the Notre Dame staff thinks that Juju Smith is pretty much a long shot at this point. If you look at the 24/7 crystal ball as well, it seems like there is some late action for Oregon, kind of following the DeAnthony Thomas mold of, a Los Angeles area kid who everybody thought would be a Trojan, and, maybe he jumps up and heads to Eugene to play for Oregon. But wherever he ends up, he is a difference maker. With regards to Notre Dame, I think that sort of a recruitment it might remind me of is Manti Te'o, because nobody really expected Manti Te'o to sign with Notre Dame on National Signing Day either. So while Juju Smith is certainly a long shot for the Fighting Irish, surprises do happen on National Signing Day. So I don't, I probably put it at a 1%, maybe 2% chance that he ends up Irish. But if he does, to your point, Steve, he is a very, very dynamic athlete. Just an excellent career playing for Raul Lara at Long Beach Poly. He played both sides of the ball. I'm not sure where he projects better at. Is it receiver? Could he also play defensive back? But whoever gets him is getting a special talent.
Yeah, speaking of special talent, another kid who we're hoping to have the live stream here later is Micaiah out of the Fresno area. They have him almost a 50-50 chance to go to Notre Dame. He is just a playmaker.
Well, the Fresno area has been interesting to Notre Dame in recent years. They had T. Shepard committed and enrolled, but he did not pan out at the school. And then perhaps the biggest surprise in National Signing Day history may have been when Deontay Greenberry, a fellow Fresno kid, spurned Notre Dame and signed with the University of Houston, shocking everyone. So I think Notre Dame and its fans are probably cautiously optimistic about Micaiah, given Notre Dame's track record in the Fresno area. But if they do get him, they are getting definitely a difference maker who, when paired with Justin Brent, who we just saw, and a receiver like Corey Holmes, who's also committed to Notre Dame, that gives the Irish a very, very impressive wide receiver core. But it seems as if the 24/7 crystal ball is indicating that he is most likely to sign with Oklahoma. But again, it's National Signing Day.
Yeah.
Strange things happen.
That's right. Hey, and according to our Preps to Pros map that we put out, there was 14 players in the NFL from the Fresno area this year. So just a little fact you can find on our National Signing Day homepage. All right, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back again with more breakdowns of teams, live announcements, and more. This is Max Preps. It's our Signing Day show presented by Jimmy John's and American Family Insurance.